have also discovered that all those years actually you were not alone, and you did have a father. His name is God. He had always been there, and He promises that what they meant for evil, He will turn it to your good.
I've changed for the better this time. I thought I would never be fine. I strive just to say I'm alright, and for the first time in a long time I'm alright. I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago, but all will be okay.
Hi everyone, my name is Molweni. Welcome to my first episode on my podcast called To Serve. I am excited and nervous about this podcast. It's the first time ever that I am going even deeper now in terms of my story, as I have been sharing on my YouTube channel. Today I will be breaking down in terms of how being raped from the age of 6 years old has affected the areas of my life, which I call the 5 pillars: relationships, health, finance, faith, and career. I will today then speak about relationships and try to go as deep in terms of the extent of the brokenness and the damage that had been done or that had been caused because of what had happened to me as a child. So, and I will focus especially on the relationships that have lasted longer and have the most impact, or where my brokenness really showed up. I did share previously on one of my videos regarding my relationship with my mother. As much as we have tried to make amends, but there's still that unease, but I respect her fully, and I do see her, we do speak on occasionally, and she is still my mother and I love her. I have also tried to understand in terms of where she comes from and why her response was the way it was. Also, one of my main relationships is my family, which is my paternal side of the family. I am still in contact with most of them. My aunts, the ones who are remaining now, we do speak occasionally, but I have not yet spoken with the aunt from the Eastern Cape, the one whose husband paid off for his nephew not to be charged with the rape. That one we haven't spoken for about 20 years now, but she's still alive, she's still there. And the relationship that has been most affected by my brokenness is my marriage. I've been married now for 15 years. We have 5 beautiful children. In my marriage, my brokenness manifested itself in terms of how I communicated. I made my husband to be, how I came with my husband, my relationship with my husband was in such a way that communication was a big challenge. from the onset, because we never communicated in terms of our expectations from one another. We never communicated in terms of what we needed from one another, and how we wanted one another to make the other person grow within the relationship. Our ambitions, we did not have a vision for our family. Things just happened in terms of things that just happened in a like sort of an autopilot mode. Communication in my marriage, I couldn't communicate my feelings to my husband, because most of the time I didn't know how I was feeling. Even when I did know how I was feeling, I didn't know how to vocalize it, and I didn't even know how he will take it. And whenever we had clashing or conflict, I would close off. I would build this brick wall, and it would frustrate him so much that he wouldn't know how to get through to me, how to even help, or how to even, if he felt he had wronged me, he didn't even know how he would apologize for what he had done, because I would not give him a chance. From my side, I would feel very disappointed in him. I wouldn't know how to vocalize. I wouldn't know to vocalize in terms of if I'm feeling sad, or I'm feeling disappointed for what he had done or what had happened, or his actions. I wouldn't know how to say it to him in a manner that he would understand it. Closing off was the way I would, for me, I would protect myself, if I may say it like that. I would protect myself by just switching off. And I think this came from the place where now the way my family handled the rape, in terms of them not just dealing with the issue, but instead of just I would just end there, and nothing would be said to me, and nothing would be done to the perpetrators. It would just end there. So I think this came from that angle, from that the way things were dealt with. That is the way I know how to deal with situations that are in my life, especially in my marriage. But even in other relationships, I've had friendships where I would just also not speak to the person anymore. I would just switch off and just close off and never communicate with the person again. And I've also seen this with my children, where I just close off. When they have done something, I would just not say anything. So I think this comes from how my family handled me being raped, and also when they would just when there was a time when I would just cry, and I would just cry for nothing because of what was happening. I didn't know how to vocalize. I didn't know what to say, and they would just tell me to go outside. I would cry outside for hours and hours, and it would just end there until I come back and then just continue with life again. So years and years, the handling by my family then just showed me, it just taught me that this is how we deal with situations, this is how we deal with our emotions. We don't talk about them, we don't express them, we don't explain ourselves, we just close off from the rest from whoever has hurt us or has done us wrong, we just switch off. And I took this practice, I took this behavior and thinking pattern to my marriage. This happened for years. Our marriage was a roller coaster, up and down, and things got really serious. My husband was frustrated because I think also I took out the anger, and the anger that I was feeling that I couldn't explain even myself. I took it out on him. I was angry with him, and I would just feel like a volcano on the inside was erupting. I would just get, when he would do even the tiniest of things, I would just like feel like I was boiling, and I would just implode. And the way I would speak to him at times was degrading, and he didn't know how to handle all of this that was happening. And as a man, he would get frustrated with me. He would also get angry. I was changing now him to be this angry person that he was never. When I met him, he was never an angry person, but now he changed and became this angry person. I do take some of the blame for that, because of how I was dealing with our frustrations and our conflicts in our marriage. I took out my anger on him. I would just snap for the longest of time. I would just snap at him. There was no respect at some point, because I felt that he was also letting me down in terms of some of the behavior that I was seeing from him. But I think also as a man, because he's a man, and I have experienced a lot of hurt from men. Even the relationships that I had I was involving myself in terms of now boyfriends, it was relationships that were not where I was not being valued, where there was a lot of abuse. I had a relationship where I was really being abused with a boyfriend. That relationship lasted for a year. So there were quite a number of men in my life that had been treating me this way. So I think that's how that I took out that anger and frustration into my marriage and into my husband, because I didn't know how to deal with it. And we did try therapy. We did try also bringing in, most of the time his father tried to intervene, and we would talk about, but we would not talk about the root cause. We would just talk about the symptoms that were showing up in terms of I was not happy, I was frustrated, I was frustrating him, and we had also now started mentioning the word divorce. In our where I would just say, let's just end this, and that would frustrate him even more, because where he comes from, he does not believe in that. He felt that if we were to divorce, that he would have failed as a man, and that frustrated him even more, and he couldn't get through to me. He couldn't get through to me because this wall, this layer of wall that I would just build in my heart, for me it was a protection. I was protecting myself, but not in the most best way. Not in the most best way. So it went on, and we were to the point now that we were really getting divorced. We started the process. We really started the process of the divorce. The contracts were drafted in terms of the visiting of the children and who will pay for what. There's 50% split in terms of our responsibilities towards our children. And even that process was not amicable, because we were still fighting. I was angry and bitter. Even that process was not smooth, was not amicable, because I think deep down in my heart it's not what I wanted. I knew from his side it's not what he wanted. He was doing it because I'm the one who was pushing for it. I knew also in my heart that it's not what I wanted, but it's just that I didn't know how to communicate how I was feeling. I didn't know how to end the frustration and the hurt that I was feeling. And I thought that maybe divorce was the way out for me to stop feeling the hurt and the sadness and the anger. Above all, I think I was very angry. I was very angry for what had happened to me. I was very angry for the way my family handled the situation. I was very angry in terms of the community and how they turned and blamed me for what had happened. A 6-year-old, imagine. I was very angry. I was really, really, really angry. And I didn't know how to communicate this. I didn't know how to say it, that I'm angry. And I think at the time I didn't even know what I was angry about. Or how to specifically pinpoint the areas, because I had not accepted the pain and analyze it and break it into smaller chunks that I would be able to process now, because I had been piling all this pain for years. For 30 years I had been piling all this pain. I was not dealing with it. Instead, I'm a type of a person that if plan A doesn't work out, I move to plan B. So I had been piling it, and now I was imploding. I would just snap. I would just had road rage. I was having all of these emotions that I didn't know how to vocalize them. I didn't know how to communicate them. I didn't know how to put a feeling to an emotion and to an incident, and the connection. I didn't know how to do it. And my marriage was like a mirror, a reflection that was just showing me that things are really not okay. You are not okay. And because now I was just out with my husband, his weaknesses, I was just magnifying. I was making them so big, his weaknesses and his mistakes, that I was not even taking note of his strengths and also the effort that he was making. I was just like pulling him down. I was bringing him down to my level where I was, and he didn't know how to pull me up to where he was, because emotionally he was a bit stronger than I was, even though there were areas that also I was complimenting him on. But in this specific area now of dealing with my emotions, I was failing dismally. So then the process of divorce was happening, and he had moved out in 2020, just before the lockdown, 2020 in March. He had moved out, where we'd spoken to the children that daddy's moving out and we're getting divorced. He moved out, and the visits were starting now. The kids were starting to, because the arrangement was that on Wednesday he will take the kids according to the mediator that was assisting us in drafting the contract. He had to be involved also, not just on only weekends, but also for their school activities. So Wednesday was his day, and then weekends would rotate the weekends. And I started to feel very heavy, because now I saw how this was affecting our children, how our choices and our mistakes were affecting now the children. And I remember there was a day where I heard him talking to our eldest, and he was telling him that our eldest, who was the one who's 18, was not interested in the up and down, the Wednesday, going to him Wednesday and some weekends, so he was just not interested. And I remember him now trying to explain to him and sort of begging him to say, please come and see where I live. And that broke me. It broke me. And I started to get depressed. I remember there were days I couldn't get up now. This was in 2020. I couldn't get out of bed. And our 7-year-old at the time, who was turning 9 this year, would ask me for food, and I couldn't make him food because I didn't have the strength, I didn't have the energy to make him food. So I saw how this was affecting them until I got a breakthrough. So in my next video, I will be sharing now in terms of the breakthrough, what transpired that got me up and started to pay these baby steps now that I was that has gotten me to the journey of healing, the journey of being able to, of self-awareness and being able to articulate my feelings and be able to, that connection I was talking about in terms of the feeling, the emotion, the incident, being able to link those. So I will be sharing that breakthrough. But it really affected me, the relationships I had, all of them, all in one way or another were all affected by my brokenness, because I told myself that I can do it by myself. Even when we were starting to get divorced, I was just imagining now the future, to say, I can still get married again, I can still continue with my life. This didn't work out, I was on plan B already, planning out now in terms of the future, what will happen, seeing possibilities in the future. That is how I had always dealt with my pain. I would move on to the next. If this didn't work out, then I would move on to the next. So I wrote sort of a letter now to my baby, to baby self, to my little self. Just this helps in terms of the healing process, recognizing, because she comes up every now and again where there's triggers. I go back to that 6-year-old again who didn't feel loved, who felt neglected, who felt rejected, who felt a lot of fear, paralyzed by fear. So I wrote this to baby girl. Baby girl, I know how scared and lonely you felt those nights as you were confused of what was happening to you. All of it shouldn't have happened. You did not deserve to be made fearful like that. The older version of you is trying to make sense of it all and is here now to reassure you that I will share our story to the world so that what happened to you, we can try and stop it from happening to another young girl. I also discovered that all those years, actually, you were not alone, and you did have a father. His name is God. He had always been there, and he promises that what they meant for evil, he will turn it to your good. So this is the letter that I wrote, baby girl, the 6-year-old Oyama. Thank you for watching. Thank you for the comments that I've been receiving, kind comments. And please don't forget to subscribe if you have not done so, and share this video if it can at least help one person, for them to realize that they are not alone, and that whatever that was done or happened to them can still be turned for their good. They can still get something positive from their bad experiences, including also the experiences that they might have caused on themselves, which is the mistakes that we make because of our brokenness and not knowing who we are, because of the distorted things that we get from our families and also from our society as large. The distorted values and or experiences that we shouldn't be getting from the people that we love, and that most people that we trust the most, who are the ones who are supposed to be protecting us. So please do subscribe if you have not done so. Share the video, like, and please send me comments if you want me to, if there's anything that you would like me to share, please do so. Thank you so much. Until next time then, take care. Bye.